In a small house on the edge of the village lived a family: Dad, Mom, 2 kids, Max and Sophie, and their dog, Buddy. It was a normal summer evening. The air smelled like freshly cut grass, and the sky outside was slowly turning dark. Mom was in the kitchen, and Dad was still at work. The kids were in the living room playing fetch with Buddy, who happily brought back a soft toy over and over again. Suddenly they heard thunder in the distance. First soft, like someone hitting a giant drum, then louder, like the sky had split open. Sophie moved closer to her brother, and Max tried to look brave, even though his heart was beating faster. Buddy started barking and ran to the window, looking out cautiously. Just then, a flash of lightning lit up the room in a magical glow. A few seconds later, the power went out. The lamps, the TV, everything shut off, and thick darkness filled the room. Max and Sophie looked at each other. It was the first time in a while they were alone, in such deep silence, broken only by the rumble of the storm. Sophie whispered, "I'm scared." Max squeezed her hand and said, "Don't worry. We're together, and Buddy's here too. Darkness is just a game of light, and we're going to win it." Buddy barked softly, as if to agree. In that moment, a spark of courage was born in their hearts. In the dark, everything looked different. The shadows of furniture blended with the darkness, turning everyday things into strange and mysterious shapes. The chair in the corner looked like a giant with long arms, the coat on the hook like an old traveler, and the toy shelf like a silent tower. Sophie held Max's hand tightly and whispered, "They're moving. Look." With each flash of lightning, the shadows on the walls jumped and changed shape. Buddy let out a quiet growl at the shadow giant made by the chair. Max remembered something Dad once said. Shadows only exist when there's light nearby. If you see a shadow, it means light is close. You just have to find it. He suddenly remembered, "Sophie, don't we have a flashlight in the drawer?" She nodded. Together they felt their way to the side table where Mom always kept useful things. Sophie found a small flashlight, clicked it on, and a narrow beam of light sliced through the darkness. The shadows quickly backed off, and Buddy barked happily, as if they'd won their first battle. Max smiled and held the flashlight up like a glowing sword. "See?" he said. "Now we can control the shadows." Sophie looked at him in surprise, and for the first time curiosity sparkled in her eyes instead of fear. The flashlight beam felt like a magic wand. Max pointed it at the wall, and instantly Buddy's big, funny shadow appeared. The dog saw it and barked, like he was challenging his twin. Sophie laughed for the first time since the storm began. "Wait!" she said, grabbing her favorite doll and holding it in the light. A giant princess shadow appeared on the wall. "Here comes the Queen of Darkness." Max joined in too, shaping his fingers into wings, so a big bird shadow fluttered across the wall. "A real shadow theater," Sophie clapped. They quickly forgot their fear and started creating a story. The princess ruled over the shadows, but a brave bird and fearless dog rose to stop her. Buddy ran around barking, not sure what was going on, but adding to the fun. The thunder outside now felt more like drums in their play. Sophie whispered, "You know, darkness isn't so scary when you can play with it." Max nodded proudly. "Told you, we can beat it." Suddenly lightning flashed through the window, and a long, strange shadow stretched from the wardrobe to the ceiling. Sophie gasped. "Max, look, that must be the monster of the dark." Max froze for a moment too, but then took a step forward and raised the flashlight. "If there's a monster, we've got a mission. Let's defeat it together." Sophie trembled, but her eyes lit up with excitement. How? Easy, Max smiled. Monsters fear light and laughter. We'll shine on it and tell the silliest stories we can. He aimed the flashlight straight at the monster's shadow. Buddy jumped and barked so loudly even the thunder seemed quieter. Sophie, remembering Max's plan, began a funny tale. Once, a monster tried to scare some kids, but slipped on a banana peel. They both laughed, and instantly the scary shadow lost its shape, melting away in the flickering light. "See, Max, we really can defeat the dark," Sophie cheered. Max raised the flashlight like a torch. "Now we're the light team." Inspired by their win, Sophie grabbed a box of colorful party lights from the closet. She started hanging them around the wardrobe and under the windowsill. "If we make a light fortress, no darkness can get in," she said, her eyes glowing like the twinkling bulbs. Max brought out blankets and pillows. Together, they built a real fort in the middle of the room. Pillow walls and a roof of blankets. "This is our base," he said. "Here we plan our next move." Buddy climbed inside and curled up, looking like a real guard dog. His eyes sparkled with the lights. "Now we've got a team," said Sophie. "You, me, and Buddy. We're the friends who fight the dark." Max drew a map, lights as defense towers, the blanket as the roof of safety, and Buddy marked as guardian. "Every team needs rules," he added. "Ours are simple. Don't be afraid, stick together, and always laugh at the dark." When they were done, the room glowed with warm colors, like a holiday castle. Rain still tapped on the roof, but it now felt like part of their game. "You know what, Max?" Sophie whispered. "I'm not scared anymore. I'm actually happy." Max smiled and whispered back, "See? Darkness can't beat friendship and light." Just as the kids settled into their glowing fortress, a strange rustling sound filled the room. The lights flickered, like the darkness was trying to push back. The wind outside howled so hard the windows rattled. Sophie pulled the blanket tighter. "Max, it's back." From the corner of the room, a long black shadow began to stretch across the wall, slowly sliding toward their light fort. Max raised the flashlight. "We're not scared of you. Go away." He aimed the beam at the shadow. It trembled and pulled back, but didn't vanish. Sophie grabbed a second flashlight and shone it from the other side. Buddy barked and jumped in front of them, like a true warrior. "We're together," Sophie shouted. And then something amazing happened. All the little lights around the room glowed brighter than ever before. Light filled the room, bounced off the windows, and spilled outside. The shadow let out a silent scream and burst into tiny sparks that disappeared into the night. The kids stood in awe. Sophie hugged her brother. "We did it, right?" Max nodded, smiling. "Yep, because light always wins. If we stand together," Buddy let out a happy sigh and returned to his spot on the blanket. The room was cozy again. The fear was gone, like it had never been there at all. When quiet finally returned, the kids lay down under the blankets next to Buddy. The soft light still glowed gently, pushing away the last bits of darkness. Sophie looked at her brother and whispered, "I'm not scared of the dark anymore. Not when we're together." Max nodded. "Darkness always seems stronger when you're alone. But when you've got a friend or a sister, and you remember the light inside you, no shadow can win." He raised the flashlight once more and pointed it at the ceiling. The beam drew a glowing line like a star in the night. "You know what, Sophie?" He smiled. "Even when the lights go out, they're still with you." Because you can be the light for someone else, Sophie hugged him tightly, and for the first time in a long while, she fell asleep without any fear. Buddy curled up at their feet, guarding his little family. And outside, the night didn't seem quite so dark, because now, in their hearts, a true star had been lit, one of courage, friendship, and love, a light that would never fade. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed the story, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one.